Hey everyone, Gage Ryan here to showcase my updated anti-meta stun deck for you. So, stun is in kind of a funny place, and it has been for a while, where virtually every deck that's relevant is looking to build a big first turn field by using mass special summoning. And so I feel that in some respects the game is a little easier to prepare for nowadays, because you know what most decks are looking to do. 5, 6, 7 years ago when you would go to a YCS, you'd be like, I have no idea what I'm going to play. I have an okay idea, but like you could play anything. Whereas now, and they could all have different strategies and different ways of implementing those strategies, whereas nowadays it's Special Summon City. And so this is an anti-meta stun list kind of tailored to play around that, and to also mass searching is also a thing nowadays, and also every single deck has ways of popping things in some capacity, and so that's another aspect I think the deck needs to prepare for. And so being able to play first, play second, and being able to be prepared for anything really that your opponent's going to throw at you is a tough tightrope for this deck to walk, but I feel that I have a pretty good version for you right here, so we're going to get right into it. Start out with Triple Border, probably the best anti-meta monster of all time. Second in command, you got Triple Fossil Dyna, love this card to death. You got Triple Thunder King. I just felt safe with Thunder King. I think we've all lost to Thunder King and like 5 traps protecting it, but I mean, it's also just mass searching is absolutely a thing, but even if your opponent goes off and searches and whatnot and builds a big first turn field, that's also fine, because you'll usually be able to break the field with the way the deck's constructed. And so like if you go Thunder King and then you break the field, that's still pretty tough. And I mean, not to mention that anything they'll top deck into that would search gets neutralized by Thunder King, and it still negates a special summon. So I felt safe with Thunder King. And then the one Jowgen, so shout out to my buddy Alan. He was the one that kind of talked me into this, and I completely agree in hindsight. Like, a lot of people, they like to play the one barrier statue, but I think that's stupid. I think you go with Jowgen over that any day of the week. Sometimes you'll bait negates, and then you summon Jowgen, and you actually use his effect, and then nuke the field. It's wild. I remember back in the days of Dragon Rulers, where they put up a big first turn field, and I'm like, LOL, summon Jowgen, activate effect. It's very unfair, but I love Jowgen. He is literally one of my favorite cards of all time, so anytime I get the chance to play him in a deck, I actually have a full deck built around him that I'm looking to showcase, but I still gotta tweak it a little bit. But the one Jowgen is so good. I was comfortable with the 9 that I have here, but I was like, I need another normal summon, and I feel that Jowgen fills that void pretty well. And then the one Pankratops, which I just always want to play. It's another one of my favorite cards. I don't love it quite as much as I love Jowgen, but it's so good. It's so versatile. 2600, pop a card. Y'all know what it does. So for monsters, under the spells, Triple Pot of Prosperity, Triple Pot of Duality. Make the deck as consistent as you can. It's the name of the game with any deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. So you got Triple Raigeki, and it may seem a little weird to play 3, but I feel it's probably the best call, simply because there's not really anything else better to play that does its job in this deck. Even if you're using this to bait negates, it works really well with cards like Jowgen, where, like, let's say your opponent has like a once per turn negate, you go Raigeki, they negate, and then you summon Jowgen, pitch a card, nuke the field, and now you have a Jowgen in play for them to deal with. So it's a pretty good card. I actually like it a lot. Onto the one-ofs, which I love my one-ofs a lot of times. You got the Forbidden Lance. Just one. You're looking for versatility in this deck. You don't want to be caught behind with some kind of answer that you have absolutely no response to. And I mean, like, people can say, well, what about continuous stuff? Well, that's why you have Solemns, and that's why you have Dogmatica Punishment, so you can send a Tis and things like that. You have to have an out to pretty much everything, at least in a lot of capacities. I mean, there's sometimes you can get away with things, but it's just better to have a miscellaneous out sometimes, and I like the one Lance for that reason, especially because Impermanence is around, Forbidden Droplet's around, so this card answers both of them pretty well. And I mean, if you go Border or something and they have Droplet, and you have Lance, that can sometimes win you the game. You got one Chalice. It seems, why would you just play Droplet? But the discard is actually kind of a big deal in Game 1. Game 2 and 3, it's not quite as big of a deal. Like I said, the game just plays differently, Game 2 and 3, especially with anti-meta stun. But I mean, in the main deck, I like the one Chalice, and I'm going to keep it for now. You got the one Moon Mirror Shield. A lot of people play 3 of this card, and I understand, but I just don't like how it plays in mass amounts. Just for the fact that if you have, X monster, Moon Mirror Shield, and your opponent goes, normal summon, activate Cosmic Cyclone, there isn't shit you can do about that. So I don't like relying on this card very much, but it's, again, another good utility to have. And the card of Demise, which is obvious. Onto the traps, you got Triple Dogmatica Punishment. Card's excellent. I won't hear otherwise. You got 6 Solemns, always good, just be prepared. You know, it's also great, like Solemn Strike's is good against first turn fields sometimes as well, but obviously if you draw it going first, you're in a much better position. You got Triple Waking the Dragon. I like, listen, I don't care what anyone says, this card is fantastic. I won't hear otherwise. Waking the Dragon, because every single deck has a way of popping cards in some capacity. Even if it's just something stupid where they're like teching Dogmatic Punishment so they can send a Tis, there's still chances that they'll pop this card. And it's one of those things where if it goes off, you basically auto-win. And also, if you go pop Prosperity or something, or Duality, and they see Waking the Dragon, it'll play a mental game with your opponent the whole game. Because they're going to be worried about that. They're going to be worried about the Feather Duster they have in their hand, or something along those lines. So I actually like Waking the Dragon quite a bit. And like I said, if it goes off, you basically auto-win, because then they're going to have something like the Last Warrior from Another Planet to deal with. And that is just so hard for a lot of decks to get around. Double Evenly, I hate playing 3 for some reason. Like, this card just absolutely hates me in 3s, so just 2. You got the 1 Phantom Knight's Wing. I wouldn't play more than 1, but again, good utility. You know, it gains 500 attack, stops from being destroyed, etc. And then the one Back to the Front, which is just a hilarious card. I love, like, you go normal summon Dyna and, like, set the Back to the Front. And so your opponent will normal summon, they swing over the Dyna, and then they, like, activate an effect in hand or wherever to special summon, and they like pitch cards or something. You chain Back to the Front, bring the Dyna back out. It's main phase 2, and they probably just lost resources. So it's a very fun card to play with your opponent, especially with cards like Fossil Dyna. So that's it for main. Onto the extra. You can see it's just super poly targets. Then you get to the 3 Natis and the 1 Tri-Brigade guy. I don't know how much I like Tri-Brigade guy in the deck, but for now I have it. Exterio, you got Last Warrior, Ultimate Falcon just in case, and Crystal Wing is your miscellaneous Waking the Dragon targets. But I do, Last Warrior is really what you bring out. But also, like, sometimes, you know, you need an Apocalyphort Tower, so you go Ultimate Falcon instead, and then the Ab-Zero because it's great. You can actually bring it out with Awaken the Dragon, so I mean, you know, dude, why not? On the other side, you got Triple Wanghu. So this card is a little bit more of a niche card. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but there's no doubt that... So for one, it tears apart Flunder, and nobody likes Flunder. So you play this card, you probably auto-win if they don't have an out. And on top of that, it's also really good against Sprite and other miscellaneous shit. Like, anything with small attack monsters, you summon Wanghu, and if they don't immediately out it, they're probably going to lose. So I love Wanghu. I love that it gives you that added bonus. I mean, plus, you know, you go against Flunder, you side out your 3 Dyna, you side in your 3 Wanghu, and now you have basically an entire stun deck that works against Flunder without having this big gaping hole with these 3 cards that do nothing. So then Triple Super Poly, love this card. I always try to find a way to play it, like in the main or the side. It's just such a good way to get everything off the field. I mean, even, you know, a lot of people say it's a -1, and I mean, like, not really, but kind of. Like, if you don't have a way to gain advantage off your discard, I can understand how people say that it's like an invisible negative almost. But I don't care. It's too good. It gets shit off the field, breaks first turn field. It's not even bad going second. You could use it like a trap card. So I just love this card. I'll always find a way to play it. So then Double Droplet, which is just, it's another good anti-going first card. So, I mean, I love playing this. I mean, especially like it halves things attack, and so you can swing over shit that you wouldn't be able to before. It's a good utility. You got Double Lightning Storm. Just you don't play field spells in the deck, and just that's the way the deck came out. If you wanted to incorporate Necro Valley or something, you could. And I mean, Necro Valley wouldn't even be that bad because you do have Waking the Dragon. So if your opponent goes Feather Duster or something, and you just laugh at them with Waking the Dragon. But for now, it's Lightning Storm because it's, again, more utility. It's another good card against back row decks. It's another good card against first turn fields. You just want to have all the answers you can. You got the second Lance. If your opponent has things like Impermanence, or if you see Droplet or something, you're probably going to side the second Lance in, and I doubt you'll take it out. Sometimes you place the Chalice with it, but sometimes you'll have all 3. It depends. You got Cosmic Cyclone, Feather Duster, just, again, more utility. The third Evenly, because like sometimes, even if you draw 2 or 3 of it, if you open it against a first turn field and your opponent can't respond to it, then I mean, it really doesn't matter anyway. And then the Bribe, which I always side in going first, because just the back row hate is a thing, but I like that this deck doesn't rely exclusively like on back row. Like, sometimes you'll have hands where it's just like, summon Dyna, play Moon Mirror, set 1, and that face down's like a Solemn. And that seems like a pretty minimalist setup, but how exactly are you getting around that without very specific cards? So, Bribe helps in those kind of situations as well. If I played Necro Valleys, I would probably play more than 1 Bribe in the side deck, but I guess we can talk about that. So that's about it. I really hope you enjoyed this. I know it's a little more in depth, so let me know if there's anything I missed, anything you would change. Be sure to leave a comment, and I'll see you soon.